Critical Beard Podcast, episode 2.0.
Episode 2.
Reboot, remake.
Hey, you gonna play us that beautiful intro song again? Well, this is episode 2.
Do I even remember?
Put a hat on because it's a different episode. This is a different day.
Oh, it's a different day.
Yeah, look at that. I'm gonna put it backwards like Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, I look more like Matthew Broderick than Godzilla.
All right. Welcome to the Critical Beard Podcast, episode 2. I am the Cardinal, and this is...
I'm the Meatball.
He's the Meatball! And this is...
Forget about it.
Critical Beard! I'm just kidding. I forgot the song. So, now you know...
Well,
you know that I did make it up because I already forgot it.
Well, you need to watch the last episode and then record it so I can put it at the beginning of every episode.
Leave it in the comments.
Just clip that and post it for us. Thanks. That'd be great.
It was a good one. I don't remember it. This is our official spoiler cast of
Yes,
Final
this is our
Fantasy
spoiler cast.
Story, spoilers, what we thought. We have both finished
This
Final
is
Fantasy
our
VII.
real thoughts.
Real thoughts coming at you live.
Coming at you live on the YouTubes.
Please like and subscribe, or we'll find you and cut off your balls.
Hit that bell. I'm going to shove that bell up your ass.
I'm going to shove the bell in your pee hole. So this is our official thoughts of the ending of Final Fantasy VII, and it's a doozy. And these are spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
This is not a family show, apparently.
Move your body. Move your body away.
Seriously.
So,
the spoiler warnings. It's in the title, but like, don't whine about spoilers. I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear your whine swines.
I know.
Mr.
Whine swine.
Mr. Meatball, have you completed the Final Fantasy VII remake?
Yeah, I finished it about 4:30 this morning.
Well, how many hours did you put into it?
About 36 hours.
Holy cow! I put 45.
Holy jabroni.
It turns out I'm a bad gamer. I'm not good at games.
Maybe you just really enjoyed those shimmy and long walk sections. So you're like, damn, can I do that again?
How many shimmies?
Can I shimmy slower? Is that
shimmy,
possible?
shimmy, yeah, shimmy, cloud, shimmy, yo.
Shimmy, pop.
So, what do you think of the fucking ending of Final Fantasy VII? There's a lot to unpack here, guys.
It happened first. Let's open with that.
Meta as fuck.
It was meta. I mean, it was pretty on the nose because hey, but you got your wish. You're like, man, as long as they explain what those hooded flying guys are, and they did. So be careful what you wish for.
Arbiters of fate. But they did and they didn't.
They did. They explained it enough for me because they explained it as much as they've explained the live stream.
You know, I actually do.
Have they ever really?
I like them more now that the game's ended and I've had some thoughts or had the time to think. Because I think initially when I finished the game last night, I just sort of went,
"All right, I'm going
to bed." That happened.
That was a series of events with credits.
Things happened, and then words popped up on the screen, and impactful scenarios were...
Things happened. But I before the podcast started, I'd rewatched the last 30 minutes. Pretty much, I watched up to them reaching the end of the highway, and then them walking up to Sephiroth to the end. And I do have some notes. About 3 pages. About 2 pages. If you want to hear my theories.
Well, let's hear your opinions before your theories.
Well, my opinions are kind of wrapped up in my theories, but my opinion is I liked it.
You liked it.
I liked it. The only thing I'm just half excited and half worried about where they're going to take it next.
Let me start before we jump into the big the big discussion on the ending. I do want to hear some smaller takes of what you thought of certain characters.
Oh yeah, hit me.
What did you think of Hojo?
He was Hojo. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I mean,
Dude,
he's always supposed to have been a disgusting, terrible man, and that's exactly what I got. I'm like, yes.
I know that so many people are like, "Oh, who would you cast in this role? Who would you cast in this role?" But man, I could not unsee David Tennant in that role.
Wait, what?
David Tennant.
He was Hojo?
He would be an amazing Hojo.
Oh, really? You think?
Oh man, well, you haven't seen Good Omens? He wears these. He's a demon, and he wears these round spectacles. Yeah, he wears these round. He's the main demon. He's the main character.
Yeah.
He wears those round spectacles, and he's got this. He's crazy. He's evil. He's like crazy, and he like, dude, Hojo is like so much like David Tennant in that. I can see him playing that role so well. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, I love Hojo. Hojo was perfect, along with Red 13. What did you think of Sephiroth?
You mean the Sephiroth clone that we saw?
What is it?
What do you mean?
So as everyone knows who's watching this, because I don't know why the hell you'd be watching this if you hadn't beaten Final Fantasy VII. You're an idiot, or you're just bored. You're just bored and never gonna play this, and you're just like, I want to watch it. And
I want to hear two random talk about it on the internet. So
when they're running up to Genova, and we've seen Sephiroth throughout the story, you know, the PTSD hallucinations that Cloud's having, and then you see him again right in front of Genova, right, and you're like, oh, it's Cloud tripping out again, and then like everybody's like, oh no, that's him, and you see him on
everyone else sees him.
Yeah, and then he jumps and he fucking does that slash, and then Sephiroth like cuts the catwalk and they all fall. Yeah, so he's there. He's in Shinra. Why is he there?
Well, I mean,
why the hell is Sephiroth there?
In the original, if I remember correctly, whenever a reunion number came in contact with a piece of Genova, that would allow Sephiroth to come back to life, so to speak, because he's dead. He's dead, sleeping in the life stream right now. I don't know if you remember that. You remember in the original where you go to the northern crater and you see Sephiroth's body down in the crater.
Yeah.
That is the real Sephiroth. He's dead.
Because even if somebody has a thought or something of Sephiroth, right, he can come back to life or something like that.
It's like a mix between like the G project and S project that Hojo was working on, which was like trying to create, if I remember this correctly from Crisis Core, he was trying to create a new breed of ancients using Sephiroth and Genesis. Genesis is a terrible character. Don't worry about Genesis. Just don't worry about it. So, if I remember correctly, like whenever, because he ended up grabbing the Genova. It even happened in the original. Like he grabbed the Genova, and then right when he became real at that point, when everyone else saw him, when he finally got to Genova, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as that hallucination / reunion number
so that was
contact with Genova, he became Sephiroth.
His thought. That's sort of what I was thinking, like, because he was seeing him throughout the game.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until Shinra Tower. Well, the first time you see Sephiroth, or you don't see him, but the the little fat asshole with this grin all the time that's on the Shinra board of directors.
Palmer.
Oh God, I hate him so much.
I love Palmer, dude.
It's the worst.
He is so like,
he's the first one to see him. You are a
pedophile, Palmer. Okay, I don't care what he just looks like.
Oh yeah, no,
just the creepiest, sleaziest corporate pedophile. He's like, I saw Sephiroth. It's like, yeah.
But the first time when in the hallway, right, when you like walks by and you see the black feather, and he's like, "What? It's you?" And then, of course, they like try to divert your expectations and stuff like that. But like everyone's like, come on, we know that was.
Yeah,
Sephiroth.
it's obviously Sephiroth.
I mean, and I knew going into this game that they were going to somehow materialize Sephiroth. I had a feeling that that's what they were going to do, as they wouldn't build him up in Cloud's vision, because they do want. I understand they want a new fan base to be able to play this game, and it would be kind of confusing for Cloud to have like all these visions of this evil character early on, and then just like never have him come out.
That was one problem I had with the story at large. Like, if you were to never have played the original, Sephiroth just seems like just some random dude that Cloud hates.
He does.
You know what I mean? Because in the original, once you get to calm,
really know why.
Yeah, because when you get the calm, he explains, this is the past I remember. This is what happened. So in remake, it's just like he has PTSD hallucinations because he's crazy or something, huh? It's like
so I'm gonna run us through sort of the events. I mean, you can pop in here and there. So essentially, I was gonna start with they see him in the hall, and then blah blah blah. You see him with your eyes. Everyone sees him. He cuts the catwalk. You fall down. Then Hojo's like, do my experiments and go into different rooms and fight stuff. So you do all that, and it's a little bit of a diversion, and I had a little bit of mixed feelings on that part of the game. But it was overall a little stronger than Sector 5. Yeah, Sector 5. Sector 5, which was like the weakest part of the game. But it did have some like kind of, I was just like, this again, we're doing the switches and the communication and this.
But I did like that part because, for all intents and purposes, it was the last dungeon in the game.
And the switching of the parties was cool.
That's an old school Final Fantasy.
It reminded me of 6 a lot. But yeah,
I very much enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that part of it. Conceptually, I enjoyed it.
So they go through that, right? And then you get up to the roof, and Shinra is you hear the president, and he's on the roof, and he's falling. He's
I love that.
Hanging on, and he's like, help me, and Barrett jumps over the thing. And part of me is like, if they're gonna change anything, I just want them to fucking kill Shinra.
Part of me wanted to too, but then I'm like, they're not gonna do that.
And then he pulls him up, and then he's like, you stupid idiot, and he runs back in, and they let him somehow. That's another little weird thing I didn't love about the game, is they just let him run into the room. They didn't like restrain him or anything. They just like let him like run off and grab a gun.
Yeah, he's the president of this place that you've been trying to take down.
He's holding this little like fucking pistol. Barrett has this giant Gatling gun attached to his arm. Cloud, everybody's got materia. Everybody could just be like lightning. But he's just like, no, nobody fucking move. And then you see a katana appear through his abdomen, right? Swing, and it's Sephiroth, and that's a great intro. If you're gonna bring him into this, that was a really good part to pull him in and make him real. Then Barrett's like, oh, what? And then they're all like, why did you do that? I'm like, really, guys? He was about to fucking shoot you, and he's a piece of shit. Like. I thought
we're not murderers, though. We're just eco-terrorists.
I mean, I'm sitting here like, you guys blew up plenty of places and killed plenty of innocent people.
Dude, the opening part of the game, you exit into Sector 1 and you see a house burned in half,
people
on fire with people inside, and they're just like, that sucks.
They're like, damn, sucks to be them, but they're like, how dare you kill the president of the evilest corporation in the universe? And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Okay, that felt a little weird. I mean, I get it; they're good guys, and they, you're not supposed to kill.
I think they're trying to do like a change of heart. Like from the beginning, they were already kind of wishy-washy on what they were doing.
It was like,
by the end, they're like, can we even kill a single person? I get they're going maybe, but
also they've at this point murdered like how many Shinra soldiers?
So many.
But anyways, I digress. And then Sephiroth's like, well, you want some of this? And so he fucking stabs Barrett, right? And then we get this weird, we've been seeing the Arbiters of Fate with the hooded things. They're flying around. Mm-hmm. The only good thing we've ever seen them do was pick up Aerith after she fell at the beginning when you were at the church. So you're like, okay, these things aren't all bad, but they're not good either. I don't understand what they are. And then that thing goes and like starts sucking on Barrett's dick and like heals him or something.
It's pretty tight.
It's real weird how the thing like goes down on him and like it's like right above his.
It's like in Ghostbusters, you know, when they like get raped by that ghost.
Yeah. So he gets ghost raped, and the ghost is basically like healing him or whatever. But then at that point, you go fight. You turn and you go out and you fight Rufus, right?
Great fight.
And Rufus and his dog and the soldiers, and of course he's like, I don't need backup. You guys leave. I'm like, you have a dog, you fucking pussy. You still outnumber me.
I don't need backup.
That fight was kind of hard.
Yeah.
he killed me.
He was very, very agile.
But it was a great fight. It was a great fight. It was real well done. It was really cool. I liked how they implemented counter as like that was like the first fight. It was like you have to counter or else you're going to lose this shit.
Yeah.
That was really well done. Rufus was really well done. And then what happens after that? You go back and Barrett is alive. The Arbiter of Fate has healed Barrett, and you're going, wait, you're alive, and everyone's like, oh my god, Barrett's alive, yay, let's get to the we gotta get to the helicopter and get out of here.
The helicopter's already blown up.
Oh, the helicopter blew up.
Yeah.
So then you run downstairs, and then everyone, what's the bearded dude's name? Fuck, I always forget. Yeah. So he comes in, he's like, find him, I'm supposed to be comedic. He was like comedic relief in the original, right?
People made fun of him, but he wasn't comedic relief.
Okay. He was just a little more cheesy. I don't know. I guess he was cheesy in this one too. So he's telling everybody, he's saying, find him, get him out of here, blah, 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 you got to kill all these fucking idiots. And then, of course, you hear the motorcycle. Of course, when I heard the motorcycle, and you hear the music start swelling, and I'm not going to lie, I had a huge grin on my face.
Totally.
And then Cloud just flying down the stairs on the bike, and then they're in the fucking truck. And I was like, this is amazing. And
this is what I wanted to see.
And when he threw his sword into the fucking window,
and the guy's like,
holy fucking shit, don't kill me. And then they like fly through the window. Cloud grabs his sword. And then starts the badass highway sequence, which we were all ready to fucking play.
I could have used one more bike sequence in the game because I really enjoyed it.
It seemed a little imbalanced, right?
There's one in the beginning and then one in the end. I could have used like a short one in the middle.
I almost feel like they could have done something with one of the dungeons where they like the train tracks or something where you were actually on a bike instead of going down those that long corridor like running like if you were just on a bike or something. Anyways, I digress.
Yes.
So then you're on the highway scene, big fucking fight breaks out. Your dudes are coming up just like the original. They're coming up, you're slashing at them. You got the spin attack and all that shit. And then ball. What's the
Motorball?
Motorball. It's such a bad. It's like the worst name.
Dude, that's the best band name ever. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, Motorball was like, I remember as a kid, dude, like in 98, 99, I was like, Motorball? Like, this is the dude you fight. Like, this is the big fucking boss you fight before you leave, And in all intents and purposes, that in a lot of ways was the part right before. It's like, but when you're leaving Midgar, it's like, when you're set free, right? That in the game is the part where it's like when you become adult Link in Ocarina of Time, or you become, you get out of the dungeon.
It's the threshold.
In Oblivion, when you leave the dungeon and you walk out and you're just like, holy shit, this game is amazing. So in a lot of ways, I had an issue with just initially the Midgar thing, because I was just like, man, that's like the part.
How are they gonna? Yeah, because it's like Motorball is gonna be the final boss of this 40-hour game. Motorball is going to be the final boss. And how are they going to make this interesting?
And I will say they did a decent job with Motorball. I was actually worried that we were going to have to like jump off of our motorcycles and fight them normally. And I'm super glad they didn't do that. I'm super glad they did.
I'm glad it was a full-on motorcycle boss fight.
And so I had a huge smile. I was actually like, they're doing this right. And I was like, I'm going to end very high on this game. I'm going to end this game with an extremely like happy, like, because you know me, I've been a little lower on this than you have. I sort of like started here and then I went like this and then I sort of did this little curve and I came back up and it was like motorball, and so I'm like here, right? So I'm like ending the game on like the highest note. I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. Music's awesome, graphics are awesome, gameplay was fun. The way they did the motorcycle shit is awesome. And then you beat motorball and kablamo. Sephiroth.
See, and this is you remember? Okay, so they earlier, I think it was Marco, the number 49 that you meet in the beginning of the game, the reunion number.
Mm-hmm.
He was that first Sephiroth. That, and remember on the top.
Oh, right, because
he falls and
when he jumps, he is so he did kind of transform into Sephiroth in a way. I guess that.
See, that's not the way I see it. I see it as
he doesn't transform into him, but you.
Well, he was Sephiroth, and I guess Sephiroth.
I'm still confused by it.
Okay, so okay. Marcus, or I'm just going to call him number 49. Number 49 makes it. He makes his way to Genova. He grabs Genova, and he turns into Sephiroth. Sephiroth is reborn temporarily,
right?
And then everything happens. They get to the roof. I can't remember what happens though, because he kills Shinra, and then he kind of floats away, right? He kills
Shinra and he floats off to the top.
And then you see Marco number 49 as himself.
It's not Sephiroth anymore, right?
And you see number 49 fall. So he sheds that body for some reason. We don't know why he sheds number 49 for some reason.
Sephiroth, I guess he's like the Emperor in Star Wars.
But do you remember there was another number 2? Remember number 2? He was in Sector 5.
Oh, the one that's scaring the kids or whatever.
The one who was scaring the kids. Yeah. See, I don't think number 2, well, maybe it was number 49. One of those numbers shouldn't have been there. Here's where I'm going. In the original, there was only one. You only saw and you only knew of one number. That was the number that you found in Sector 5. You see him in the pipe, and Aerith is like, "He are sick." Remember that guy?
Yeah.
You know, he's that same number that makes it to Shinra Tower.
Translation is flawless. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. He's that same number in the original who makes his way up to Shinra Tower and becomes that incarnation of Sephiroth. But somehow in this version, in this timeline, whatever, in this game, there's another reunion number there. There's number 2.
So you think number 2 was Sephiroth like the whole time?
No. He body jumped or something into number 2, and that's the Sephiroth you see at the end of the highway.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I see.
So here's where here's where I come in. So first of all, what the Watchers of Fate, the Whispers, I'm just going to call them Whispers. What they are, they're, because at one point you hear the cries of the planet when you get close to them, and they start swirling around. Remember in the original game, like they always talk about like hearing the cries of the planet, hearing the voices of the planet. So you see the Whispers, their whole thing, there's some sort of like, I forgot what game it was. I think it was Dirge of Cerberus, where they introduced this concept of a galactic or cosmic life stream. Like when planets die, that life stream goes into the cosmic life stream. It's like a whole hierarchy of life streams. And I guess the collective will of the cosmic life force is this fate. They're manifested as these whispers because no one else can see them, and they're constantly manipulating event.
What's even more funny is that the whispers are basically just another way of showing the Final Fantasy VII fan base.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Star Wars tried to do.
Don't change this. Don't change this.
But much better. Star Wars tried to do something like this, like try to be meta with reacting to the fan base and creating like a meta structure of like referencing the fan base within the canon. But this, I think, is a much better job. Like, so constantly, go ahead. Constantly throughout the story, the whispers are constantly trying to, basically, like you said, they're trying to
preserve the original.
They're trying to preserve the original canon, basically. That's all they're trying to do. Like in the beginning,
Barrett, not letting Ares die at the mansion.
Well, even like in the very beginning, where you first meet Ares, like she sees in the original they just meet for a second and then whatever, and he's being chased by soldiers at the time. But in this new one, they meet. She sees that he's in trouble. They end up talking for a lot longer than the original, and then Shinra troops start coming up. If those Shinra troops would have run into Ares, they would have captured her. She would have been sent back to Shinra Tower. So at that point, the whispers come in, separate them. We have to have the original continuity contained. You know what I mean? And they do this constantly. Like,
yeah, I did pick up on the fact that there was a lot of dialogue for Aerith and Sephiroth's incarnation, that they almost are not the ones from that timeline, almost like they're self-aware.
Aerith I can see as like because Aerith I can see as in she is an ancient, so I imagine she has access to more knowledge than anyone else.
She knew about Marlene because when Tifa's like, you have to go rescue, someone has to rescue her, and then there's a part where Aerith literally says, "Oh, I can rescue her. You're talking about Marlene, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck does she know who Marlene is?
Because she has a straight connection to the ancients. Sephiroth, on the other hand, does not, because Aerith herself says that he cannot hear the cries of the planet. He cannot hear the voices of the planet. So he has no connection to this pool of wisdom that she can pull from.
I think he does.
No, he can't, because she would know, because she could talk to the ancients. She is an ancient. We're just going off what has been said to us. And Aerith said he can't talk to him. So the real question is, how does he know? How does he know about the watches? How does he know about the fate? I have another theory for that later.
These are, to me, for the way I took away from it. Before we should get into what happens, of course, after you meet Sephiroth. But to me, it seems, for when Sephiroth and Aerith both see face to face, she seems to have almost seen him before. Yeah. She seems very alarmed. She's like he's like pure evil, and she knows who he is.
Yeah, I don't think she knows who she is, who he is, though. At least not personally. I'm sure she was told about him.
We also get a few little flashbacks to, or some weird little hints that from the execution scene.
Oh yeah.
And then, so to me, the way I took this is that Aerith, and she also gives Cloud that flower early on, which is like, this is when lovers reunite.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, in a lot of ways, I think that this is supposed to be Aerith and Sephiroth from the original timeline, and these new characters, and everyone else is from the new timeline.
I think you're half right, and I'll get to my explanation later.
I think I'm always all right.
No, Cardinal, shut your beak. Defeated.
Oh my stars!
Oh my stars!
Clutching my pearls.
Ooh. Clutching my cloaca.
Pearls. The name of my grandma.
That's what I call my testicles. So they go up to the edge of the highway where Sephiroth is, and they get this weird they get that. Well, Cloud and Eris both get a vision of Zack of the past. At this point, it is their past, or this at this moment, moment's past.
That's the one that we see where Zack is facing off against the Legion, right?
That's the part that's the scene in the past.
And this is before you go into the dimension where you fight the big arbiter, right? Okay, that was the only thing I was unclear on. I couldn't remember.
Well, there are two moments of seeing Zack. There's one right now before they go into,
and then there's one at the end. Yeah,
and there's one at the end. So right now we just see basically like scene for scene the final cutscene from Crisis Core. Like it's like 1-for-1 reshot.
He's about to face off against all
where he like takes up the Buster Sword and he's like dreams and hope and souls.
And you see a picture of the dog.
But it's a different dog.
But it's a different breed, right? So this hints at the fact that this is an alternate timeline.
Yes. Yeah.
So then at this point, Sephiroth cuts.
Okay, but before that, why there are so many whispers surrounding the Shinra building, and there's whispers surrounding Midgar itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the whispers, they surround the Shinra building to stop, because they made a much louder exit than they did in the original. So I take it as the whispers sealing Shinra building so the crew can get away. And they're also sealing Midgar because that second Sephiroth wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're not prepared. They're not prepared to fight him right now. They're not supposed to fight him right there. So the Watchers are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because they're like, okay, we can't stop. We have to stop Shinra from getting them, but we can't stop them from leaving Midgar. Or we can't stop. You know what I mean?
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. So my theory is like it's some sort of like because all of these. Because all of the whispers converge at this point, because we also see those same whispers start surrounding the Midgar during Zack's time, or Zack's universe, whatever. Zack's world. I don't know what you want to call it.
It's like
Zack's world.
90s sitcom. It's
Zack's world.
He comes sliding in like Kramer.
So like it starts bleeding into his reality or something, because it's just a weird influx of life stream will that's happening.
It's no more AF.
So much. But I love this convoluted stuff.
It's not so convoluted that it's
not yet.
It's not not yet. It reaches some of those levels, but
there's plenty of unexplained things.
So after we see Zack and he's about to face down the soldiers, and he's like has his Buster Sword, and then we see the page fly by, and then we pan back to the Avalanche heroes and Sephiroth, and they're talking to him, and that's when Sephiroth's spouting a bunch of like
cryptic bullshit,
pretty much cryptic shit, and it says, damn, I can't remember. I wish I would have wrote it down, but he says something very like. He's like it's right before he slashes the barrier, right?
Whatever.
The portal, and so what we're assuming is that portal is essentially canon, right? Like, and then he's basically slashing through the canon, right? He's slashing through the timelines or whatever.
Yeah. To another Midgar.
To another Midgar.
Perfectly fine Midgar.
Very strange. And then Aerith is like, I'm scared, because throughout the whole game, she's actually been pretty adventurous. She's been even you're in the ghost graveyard, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, no, fuck this place!" And she's like, "Let's find out what it wants. Let's talk to the ghosts." And you're like, "Jesus, you're crazy." She's like, "Let's go see what it wants. Hey, Cloud, hey, what's up?" And she's like, "Let's fight." And then like she even says like, "Oh, the enemy went after the stronger one this time." Like she's like, even when they're facing danger, she's like making jokes.
Yeah.
This time she's like, After we go through here, this is like completely
no
unknown.
turning back.
There's no turning back, and it's
like,
completely
everything's gonna be
unknown.
different.
Everything's going to be different. We're all going to be different.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, that's very meta and very self-aware.
I don't think it's too. It's not too on the nose for me though.
It's not because
it's a fine amount of meta.
It works. It works, and I believe what Nomura is saying to the audience is like these characters are going to do different shit. This game's going to change fairly more drastically than we thought.
Yeah. See, but do you know why the characters want to change it though?
Not really. I mean, what do you mean?
Because what would be the reason for these characters to want to go in and change fate? Or because Aerith knows stuff for somehow.
Well, here's the thing. I think she knows she dies.
See, I'm thinking more of on Sephiroth, because you've seen Advent Children, right?
Yep.
The whole point of Advent Children was Sephiroth will never die. He will always be in the planet. So I think, I think that either this Sephiroth is from the future, from like the future of the old canon.
Mm-hmm.
He somehow got this knowledge about the future of this canon. Same thing with Aerith. She might be from the future of this canon. She might have been told about the future of this canon. But either way, Aerith knows that the planet is going to suffer and die eventually because of Sephiroth. You might beat him now, but later he's just going to infect the whole planet and it's going to end. And Sephiroth, that's not what he wants. Sephiroth has never wanted just the planet to die. That was never his MO.
He wants to rule. He wants to rule the planet. He wants what his birthright.
He wants the birthright. Well, if I remember correctly, he wants to basically take the planet and turn it into a Lavos, basically. He wants to just take that planet, use it as a ship to go to another planet, and just take that planet over. He just he didn't want to just die. Yeah, he doesn't want to just destroy this planet. Like, that was never his MO. So like, I think both parties, Sephiroth wants to change fate because he doesn't want to be defeated here, and Aerith wants to change fate because she knows that she has to stop. There has to be another way to beat Sephiroth other than just killing him and forcing him to return to the live stream. So that's why they both have to. That's why they both have to change fate right now.
I think, and I do think she knows.
Yeah, she definitely knows.
Whether or not it's because they do show flash forwards or whatever.
Yeah, flash sideways.
Flash sideways of the
that was
materia,
the lost thing, right?
The materia in her hair falling out, and like some of the the obvious stuff that we know. The other thing is she says, we'll actually get to that in a sec. So after that, there's pretty obvious that either Sephiroth or Aerith or both are fairly self-aware, or maybe from the future timelines. Then he slashes that portal open. She says there's no return. We're going to be different. We go through this portal.
She makes her own portal after his. I'm not sure what that means.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure. Well, but she's able to make portals too. I don't even know what either of those things mean.
So then they both have portal guns.
They have portal guns. They're different colors. You're right.
Yeah, she's blue, he's orange. And we go into this thing, and then we have this huge giant combat scenario.
Yeah.
And we won't spend too much time on this because this is very, very much a standard fucking Kingdom Hearts battle.
But you know what I noticed in it when I assessed those whispers, those 3 whispers? Did you assess them?
Yeah. So
that's Tifa, Cloud, and Barrett from the far future fighting in spirit form to keep canon.
Interesting. I didn't take that away.
No, because if you assess them, it says whispers from a far future who fight with either a gun, fists, or sword to protect the fate that they've created.
Okay, I mean, I remember the far future bit, which I took for another reference to it being an alternate timeline, and there's being alternate timelines.
Yeah, those are like ghosts of the future canon in
Goes
the last
to the future,
ditch
goes to the
effort.
future
You're
past.
fighting yourself. You're fighting your future's ghost past to rid yourself of the
I can't
fate
wait
that
for
it
Final
created.
Fantasy VII X-Men.
Days of Futures Past again.
Final Fantasy VII 2 X-Men. So we do this big combat scenario where you have the giant, big fucking
Big Heartless. I mean,
big Heartless. He's a fucking Heartless. He's a big Arbiter of Fate boss.
yeah, it's just an aggregate of whispers. It's just a
he's
big blob of
he's a
whispers.
big dude, and in order to damage him, you gotta like stagger all these other smaller boss characters. It's a very it's fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
It was all right.
It's pretty linear, right? And then you get to the point where you do kill him, and then Sephiroth shows back up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we fight Sephiroth. And he does, which I'm going to say, even if it's a little ridiculous, and I'm still on the fence whether I even like they put him in this game or not. But when he does
have an Advent Children fight with him.
He does the one wing and he jumps in the air, and I was like, I can't. My smile. There's no way to not.
I know.
Smile, right?
I can be cynical, but this is too awesome.
I'm like fighting my face. Don't you dare fucking smile!
I won't let you win, Nomura. I won't
let you smile, win. You idiot! This is just fan service, you fucking moron.
I love fan
service. Yeah, and then so we fight Sephiroth, and then we take him out, and then it does this thing. It shifts, and it's just Cloud and Sephiroth on the moon. Is it, or on an asteroid or something?
Well, but before that, I want to mention, I don't know if you noticed, but after you beat that big aggregate of whispers, Sephiroth shows up, and he sticks his arm up, and he sucks all of the wills into himself, and he starts using them as weapons. So it's like he takes control of fate. So now you have to it's like now you have
we're
to
fighting
wrestle
Fate from Chrono Cross.
Well, like now they have to wrestle Fate from Sephiroth. So I think that's where they might be going in the next couple of games. Is like now he's going to be in control of the whispers or something like that.
The next game's going to end with them getting the Fate, and then he's going to get the Fate back.
Probably right.
Classic rugby.
I don't know. I thought that was cool. Like he's in control of Fate, and he's like using them to like try to stop.
It was cool.
I thought it was.
It's one of those things where it's cool in the moment, and then sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, but I'm like, no, you've come this far. Don't think too hard.
But I mean, for Nomura and like modern Square Enix style, it's what I come to expect.
Yeah. So we defeat Sephiroth in that form, and then we go to an asteroid, you're kind of floating in space wherever you are.
See, he at this point it's extremely vague. But first of all, like it starts as mimicking that very final fight in the original one,
right?
Where Cloud he falls down. It's like shot for shot him falling down.
Yeah.
But instead of a black space, you're right. It's like this weird cosmic area, and then Sephiroth looks up to this galaxy or something, and he's like, he says something like, if I die, I'll live on, blah 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 blah, pointing to what I'm guessing he's referencing this cosmic life stream.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "You want to join me, Cloud? We're pretty tight. We can rule the universe, father and son." Yeah,
that was another part that I didn't hate it. I don't think I loved it at all. I was just sort of like, I rolled a little bit, like, join me and together we'll kill everybody.
That's kind of the whole point of the reunion theory, though. You know what I mean?
It makes sense in the storyline. It's just it's a narrative structure that's happened so many times. It's like, okay, he's not gonna fucking join you. Okay, so let's move along.
At least he didn't do the whole me and you, we're not so different.
We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, there we go. That's a classic trope. At least they didn't do that trope.
Yeah, it's close.
Close enough, right?
And then
he wants to be like me.
He says something. Cloud. He says there are 7 seconds till the end.
Yeah, what's that about?
I will tell you.
Tell me.
happen to know because I did research. Because that was the line that stood out to me more than anything. I was like,
very
7
cryptic
seconds to the end.
Yeah.
And then Cloud goes to strike him, and he pushes him back, and then just like fucking disappears.
They have an awesome fight.
So this actually gave me chills when I looked it up. When Sephiroth kills Aerith in the original game, he is on screen for exactly 7 seconds. That's fucking cool.
Nice.
That's pretty cool,
awesome.
Man. See, those.
So he's like, cool. What are you gonna do with those 7 seconds?
7 seconds to the end, and he's on screen. So to me, that's him referencing. I think that's him saying like, "What are you going to do about Aerith?" And I think maybe they're even going to.
That's why I think he's from the future, like because he can't.
There's
so
almost
definitely
no doubt in my mind.
He's either from the future or he's been given the ability to know the future of that past canon. A. We'll just call it Universe A.
That was one of the few things that they did where it was like, because a lot of this is very like dividing and like, I don't know if I like this. That was one of the few ones where I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because it was not on the nose at all. Because you don't know unless you really look it up. And so when you look it up and you're like I remember looking that up and chills like ran through my fucking spine. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. Oh man, he's on
interesting.
7 seconds when he kills Aerith. So that's really cool. And that's something like not even like people who played Final Fantasy VII 40 times may not know that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I never counted the seconds. You know how I feel about her in the original game.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh, she's on the screen. I count every time. Every time Sephiroth is on the screen, I count.
So, which we should start doing. Because
now I am.
I'm going to count every time anyone's on the screen. I'm just going to start counting.
2 hours.
He's going to turn me into the Charlie from Always Sunny, the meme with all the shit on the wall, and the strings.
The strings.
Look here.
That's what I feel like sometimes, honestly.
But so 7 seconds to the end, which implies that he is self-aware of the fact that Aerith has been killed before, or he's killed her in another timeline or whatever. And it's kind of like, what are you going to do? And to me, that translates into a thing, and they say, we're going to be different. We're all going to be different, all that shit. I think, personally, that they're going to maybe give the player a choice. That Aerith is not sealed to be killed. Even, there's like that theory, right? That she's originally not supposed to be killed in the original game. That there's that, in the manual, right? There's like her looking at the high wind, right? When she's in your party, when you have the high wind. And then there's like the final battle for Sephiroth, there's that weird spot where there's a party member that looks like they should be standing there and there's just not. There's like a lot of weird theories and interesting. There's a big rabbit hole you can go down where Aerith originally was written to be not killed, and they killed her.
I've never cared that much about her in the past, but this game won me over.
I'm an Aerith apologist.
I'm Tifa all the way, dude. Tifa is still my favorite, dude.
Aerith is
awesome.
This game solidified me as an.
Well, I loved the way she's characterized. Like, you're right. Like, she comes off as this, like, the way she's supposed to, this sassy, borderline kind of like
she's the only female
kind of
character in the whole game.
Yeah, she's real like tongue in cheek. And then like by the end, at the end, she's like she's actually afraid. And then that last line where she's like, I miss this steel sky. I was like, ooh, that gave me chills when she said that.
Her mystery and quirkiness and the ancient and all that stuff, and just her sassiness. I really like her character. I do agree that Tifa, her, and Jessie, which were all
which I think Jessie's alive. I'm just gonna say it.
Why? No, they returned to the Earth.
No, I'll talk about it later. So they defeat this Sephiroth.
Yeah.
They defeat number 2. And then it cuts to
they go through the thing that Sephiroth cut through, right? They go through that. They see the sky, and
but before that, they I guess during that or right now, you cut back to Zack, and that over
He's
Midgar
just killed everybody, right?
Yeah, over Midgar, where all the Whispers were, they all light up and dissipate. They're all gone. So no more fate, and that makes you believe. In Universe A, it was the Whispers that stopped him from surviving. So now that the Whispers are gone, he was able to survive that fateful encounter, which opens up a whole. Because this is obviously another parallel world of some kind where Zack survived.
Because Zack dies in that battle.
He dies in that battle heroically.
And then that's where Cloud wanders into Midgar from that battle.
And then Tifa.
And he's all wounded and fucked up, right?
Yeah, and then Tifa finds him, nurses him back to health, and hires him, and boom, story starts.
Of course, we see the group walk, up, and they walk past Zack and Cloud. So Cloud walks past himself, wounded, with Zack carrying him into Midgar.
Yeah.
So now we're like, okay, so Zack's alive, or something,
but not
in our timeline.
Not in Universe B, because once the Whispers are defeated, Universe A becomes Universe B. Like a little divergent happens. So it's like now we have three universes now. We have Universe A, which is original canon, which if you look at it in a straight line, it's like, that's why I said earlier, this Final Fantasy remake is theoretically could be a sequel to the original game, because if you follow the timeline, it's Final Fantasy VII, then Advent Children happens, Sephiroth realizes that he'll never die.
No longer considered canon, anyways.
Yeah, it is.
Look it up.
Says who?
The canon people.
I don't believe that, because they reference it. They reference it in the game.
Square. I believe Square came out and they said something. Advent Children is not a canon part of the Final Fantasy universe. After, I believe it was when they did like Kingsglaive and they were making all that shit. They were like Advent Children.
But that doesn't make any sense, because that's Advent Children is part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, and that includes Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus, both which are referenced within this remake.
Here's the thing: Nomura is going to say nothing's canon, everything's canon.
Okay, well, in that case, everything is canon. Let's just, as I was saying, like it's all one plot. Because imagine Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Sephiroth learns that he'll just be in this loop forever and he will never get what he wants. Goes back in time and starts affecting things. Maybe he somehow manipulated it so that second number made it into Midgar or something like that. Or maybe that second number was Zack. That's dumb. So it's kind of like this loop. So it's in a way it could be a sequel to the original in a weird way. We could
really give ourselves some headaches thinking too hard about this one.
Oh no,
that's what Nomura wants. And
I know
the problem with Nomura is that he and Kojima are sort of similar in a lot of ways.
But Kojima is more successful at it.
Kojima has a better, more cohesive vision that he can kind of lay something out. It may be convoluted, but once you look at the whole picture, he can literally point to you like, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. I do not believe that Nomura can look at like the Kingdom Hearts timeline.
No.
Like,
he doesn't even know.
Tell you what the fuck
I bet the lore Bible of that series is like that meme from Always Sunny. It's just like this board with red string. It's just nonsense.
And that's the problem. Is I just want to know. I want to know that this is not something I get invested in, and then I just end up being completely, like Kingdom Hearts 3,
but
and I'm just
you know what? That's gonna be. But unfortunately, with storytellers like Nomura and Kojima, and I always compare them in Western world to like J.J. Abrams, which is funny because he did kind of the same thing with the Star Trek reboot in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, right? But like you've seen Lost. Like Lost, they didn't know where they were really going with that show, and I love that kind of writing where they just leave it up to creative. Like, okay, we'll get to this cliffhanger, and then we'll we'll see if we can tie that together, and then keep going, and then we'll make another cliffhanger. I always like a train, and they're just laying down the train tracks while the train's coming.
Yeah,
I like that type of storytelling, but it's very risky because you never know if the end product is going to be good.
See, to me, it's very different from something like. I think Metal Gear, obviously, they may have gone game to game a little bit with that in mind. Let's try to lay that track down. But as long as they're doing that in a successful way,
yes,
or something
that's
like Dexter, where they went season to season, and it was like really good writing.
Based off books, though?
Maybe.
I think anyway.
And then it just they wrote themselves into a corner, and it just starts getting like so stupid, and you're just like, okay, this is no longer entertaining, and then you just fall off of it. Versus something like Death Note, where they keep going and they just stop after season 1, and it's like you can tell the entire time they have this like full clear vision of what's happening, even though the writing, it does seem like they keep writing themselves into a corner, but they have these really elegant ways of pulling themselves out.
And when it's successful, that's why I like that type of storytelling, because it's very engaging and it constantly keeps you on your toes, and it's built for cliffhangers and built for like mystery. That's why J.J. Abrams loved his little mystery box theory, like because with mystery box theory and storytelling, not even the storyteller knows what's in the center. It's like they're going with the audience as well. It's like a reciprocal kind of storytelling
certain
style.
People are just better at pulling off the execution of tying it together.
Yeah.
Whereas
and it's not like Namara is like detrimentally bad at it. It's just it makes us worry.
Well, what he does, he really likes to make a scenario where a really cool character shows up and says some real cryptic shit.
Because he's all about him. He is the most style over substance storyteller like ever. And you know what? Sometimes that's not bad, because Kojima does that too. He balances style and substance. But Nomura, he's just like,
or would you say
subsistence? Style over subsistence.
But yeah, he does this thing where he'll have a really badass character show up and say a crazy cool line, and then you fight him, and then he's like, "Don't look to the heavens or the stars, because then the night sky will consume your soul, hearts and darkness, fire and light,
darkness."
And then he'll like vanish in the wind, and then you're like, "That was really," and then you're immediately like, "That was really cool," and then in the next game, it's like, "Oh yeah, he was actually just an illusion of a character's soul that came from the stars and the galaxy.
Reflection of his darkness in the mirror of his heart."
And he was from an asteroid that was born out of the hatred of.
You know what? With Namura, it's more of like he has inconsistency in his terminology. That's what really turned me off with the Kingdom Hearts. Like, I like convoluted terminology. I like weird terminology and storylines, but there was never any continuity. So when someone said darkness, like, they could mean a lot of things, and it's so vague. The word darkness so incredibly vague. Nanomachines, you know what a nanomachine is, son.
You know what a nanomachine is. You know what the time fall is, because it's very specific.
It's one thing.
What a time fall is. But like, when in Kingdom Hearts, when someone says heart and darkness, you go,
it could mean so many things.
So many things. So my thing is, I don't hate the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to know that it's like a where you're in a relationship with a person and you think it may turn out toxic, but you still want to see it through. But you're just really worried that you're gonna get hurt.
That sounds like everyone's relationship with Nomura. Just like you keep going back to him, baby. I know you didn't mean it.
I mean, because in the next game could be The Empire Strikes Back of video games. It could be fucking one of the. It could be it could be everything.
Or it could be The Last Jedi.
Even if it's The Last Jedi, I'm okay.
I'm just razzing you. I know how you feel about Last Jedi. I'm just razzing you. Let's go.
Dude, I will fight you right now on this TV screen. TV screen? What am I, 80?
Dude, my baby lately, he's been doing this thing where he gets like his furrowed brow, and he goes, and he's just like, he's like, I'm like,
in the world.
And I'm just like, are you good? And he's just like,
I'm good.
yeah,
I'm just
what's
doing
up? And I'm like,
my angry
were
Popeye.
you fucking plotting against killing me and like everyone you know? Like, what is wrong with you?
The purity of children, so beautiful.
And then he says some shit about the hearts and darkness and stars and light.
Darkness,
and
darkness, and so darkness.
he's
Seeker
gonna
of
work.
darkness.
He's already writing Kingdom Hearts 4.
So what? Here's my since Universe A has been turned into Universe B. The biggest changes. Most of Sector 7 survived, which is honestly a big deal. In the original, everyone freaking died. We assume there was massive casualties, but in this remake, like, I mean, they enough survived that they almost immediately start rebuilding, which that's a positive change.
Biggs didn't die.
Biggs definitely didn't die. If you look next to his bedstand, there's Jessie's gloves and her bandana. Now, it's either because it's a memento because she's dead, or because she's alive.
The thing is, to me, the one that solidified it more than anything was Jessie, because this is the problem. This is the problem, right? Because to me, I was actually looking, as a sick fuck, I was looking forward to how they were going to handle these really these tragic deaths with these characters that are even more fleshed out.
And they subverted it. And subverted all of them.
And I absolutely loved how they handled the final words with Biggs and your final words with Jessie, and Jessie hit me, like I said, like with Wedge, like you said, the orphanage. You know, he's like, check in on the orphanage, and Cloud's like, no, you will, right? Yeah. Like, you're not dying here,
but
and all that shit. And you know, Biggs was just like, you know, it was just like this really impactful moment. And then with Jessie, I mean, I was like a little bitch. I was like, you know, I had tears while, and Tifa's crying.
Yeah.
And Jessie's like, why are you crying? Did I say something to upset you? You know, and she's crying because Jessie's dying.
Yeah.
And Jessie's still so worried about Tifa's, you know, like approval. And she's like, did I say something wrong? What did I do? Why are you crying? And she has like no idea she's crying because she's like mortally wounded. And to me, that was such an amazing send-off for those characters. And because I have a big issue, and that's what my biggest problem with the MCU so early on was just
comic book universes in general.
Kill, and then the person comes back every fucking other movie. Loki dies like 40 times.
That's not an MCU problem. That's comic book problem.
It was, though, because that's the problem when you have these big, long, drawn out series that you just keep bringing fucking people back, and it's like, it's just stop, just fucking make someone die. And that's my biggest problem. I hate being faked out on a death. It's one thing
like Chewbacca in Star Wars 9.
He should have been dead.
He should have died.
And then that was one of the most bone chilling sequences of that movie. And she's looking back,
it's even more tragic that he was the last one alive. All of his friends died.
Yeah, now he's like super depressed.
Yeah, now he's alone. Now he's the only one. That's so tragic.
Star Wars. We'll do a whole other one on Star Wars.
Star Wars cast.
I got things to say, but anyways,
don't we all?
But yeah, I mean, to me, it starts. I start not believing in something when they start faking everything. When
I get that.
When there are no stakes, nothing is. And to me, that was like the biggest part. It was like, holy shit, this game is so real because these stakes are real. These characters that you've been with through the beginning of this game are now fucking dead. And when Barrett's like, where are they? And Tifa's like, and then Cloud just like looks down and he's like, there. And then Aerith just looks at me and Tifa says, they've returned to the planet.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, shit. And Barrett is just like, fuck. You know, it's like, it's just this, it's such a scene. It's such a great scene. And they had these two really well done deaths. And to me, the fact that they were both faked, if they are, and then again, with Wedge, who's also supposed to die in this sequence, who doesn't die, but then seemingly does die
and then
from
doesn't
the
die
Arbiter's
again.
fate. He's like, "Oh, you guys! Oh, wait! Tell him I love you," or some whatever he says as he's getting drug away like Ghost. At the
Yeah,
end
but
of Ghost.
they don't kill him.
That's kind of what they alluded to. That's
Really?
what
I didn't take it as that. I just took it as them.
What, they took him to a movie? What?
See, I don't think
like
the Whisperers. I don't think the Whisperers can. I don't know. I don't think they'd just kill him. Because if they were to kill him, no, if they were to kill him, if they were to kill him, why not just fly over to Biggs and suffocate him?
Well,
because he wasn't supposed to live.
That was almost my thing. I almost kind of liked it because I was like, oh, Jesse and Biggs died, and Wedge is supposed to die, but he didn't. And so when the thing took him away, I was like, oh, because they're the arbiters, of fate, and he was supposed to die, and so they took him to die, right, to the live stream.
I get that.
And to me, if none of them died, that's a huge problem. That's the biggest problem plot wise I would actually have with this game, because I don't have too much trouble with them taking liberties. We all knew they were going to take liberties.
Oh yeah.
We kind of all knew in our hearts that we were going to fight Sephiroth at some point in this fucking game.
Yeah, of course.
And
they hyped him up way too much in the trailers.
And I kind of understand that. I wasn't totally on board with the Kingdom Heartsy big giant beastie battle that they did.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
I would have much preferred something like when you did go to that cosmic area. I would have really preferred Cloud and Sephiroth, just like a one-on-one would have been really cool. But anyways, that's beside the point. I still really, I just don't really know how I feel about the end. I think I don't hate it. Again, I don't hate it. I just don't love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to what your expectations are for part 2 and what you want out of part 2. Because those are two different questions.
Okay, so which first? So expectation-wise, I want part 2 to be what I'm expecting is for them to make. It's almost impossible to even really envision how they're going to handle this. I don't think they're going to go open world. No. I think that's almost too much of a tall order for the way.
I don't want them to.
System.
I've said this before. I don't want them to go pure open world.
And I don't think they don't need to. But they do need to make it feel like you are playing a different game, because that's what it felt like when you left. Right, when you left Midgar, you first saw yourself on the world map. You were like, holy shit, this is the game. I'm seeing daylight, I'm
because at the end, like Zach, I mean, they kind of had this like freedom point where they leave Midgar. It's like freedom. Like Zach is like, freedom has a steep price, and then it cuts to Eris, and she looks up and she says, I miss the cold steel sky. That's almost just like, okay, this part, the next game is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like gameplay exploration wise, they're definitely going to go for something different, because I think it's going to be in a way a reaction to the more linear kind of oppressive pizza plate Midgar, like it's supposed to be. But I don't think they're not going to go full. They definitely have to capture the vastness of Gaia, though. Like they have to.
Yeah,
that's kind of the whole point.
I would really like something along the lines of, I was trying to think of what the way I'd like the game to be structured. And I was thinking, I think something along the lines of like Ocarina of Time or Shadow of the Colossus.
For me, Final Fantasy 12. I like Final Fantasy 12 because it makes Ivalice seem a lot larger than it actually is.
I could see that. Final Fantasy 12 still has a lot of it feels kind of small in certain ways.
Well, I mean, not 1-1, but like that kind of like segmented but large segments.
That's kind of what I mean when I say like Ocarina of Time or like Shadow of the Colossus. Like for the field, when you're out in the field, I feel like Shadow of Colossus would be great to take cues from, because that world, that what they nailed there is the scope, the scale. even though it's not open world, it sort of feels that way because of
Yeah.
the scope and the scale. And I think if they pull that off and they make the perspective just seem
Yeah.
like you're in this fast world, even though you're not,
That's kind
that
of
would be
like
cool.
what I always say, like that's the old school RPG illusion of an open world, where
Yeah.
like you leave a town and you're like, wow, look at this. I'm out of this town and I can go anywhere. No, you can't. You can only go 2 places. But when you're out on that field, you're like, oh, I wonder if there's anything over here. I wonder if there's different enemy types over here. Like you have a sense of like a big open area, but you really don't. You're just going to be funneled into the next linear kind of set piece and stuff.
And then I think that I'm honestly, I can't help but expect to be disappointed. I am expecting to be disappointed by the sequel because I don't know how they're gonna. Because Midgar,
I expect to be surprised.
Midgar was something that was I understood what they were doing with it. I got it. Like I get it, you know. And the game ends as you're leaving, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Because Midgar is like a perfect little three-arced.
You can pad it out. You can have. You know, you go to Sector 5 and there's some side quests and you can there's like areas where you can have these little, but like
they're gonna have to do major rewrites for the sequels.
Yeah,
like, and pacing wise, they're definitely gonna have to do some major rewrites.
The luck on their side is the fact that they're working with now the PS5, which is going to be maybe they can pull off a bigger world, you know. Because I was just like, if this game took up 2 discs and we're just a linear 30-hour
downloading it, I downloaded it. It was like 88, 89 gigs.
Which honestly, because to me, after playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I went, of course this game's on 2 discs. Of course, it's got multiplayer, it's got single player, and the single player it's a huge open world. The single player is like 70 hours long, and I was like, and then there's this huge multiplayer. Of course, this game's on 2 discs. But like Final Fantasy 7, I'm still a little confused as to how this game is so fucking big. I'm like, I know.
Probably it's probably because they didn't optimize Unreal very well.
Because to me, I'm like, if this was on 2 discs, there's some games where I'm like, how the hell is like Death Stranding not on 2 discs? How is you know? So there's certain things where I feel like that game is so much bigger and so much more. There's so much more shit going on and. I don't know. I don't make games, so I'm not
yeah, me either.
But
I'm pretty sure it had to do with like bad optimization of like asset space. They did have a lot of like original asset work. Like there was a lot of really cool details. A lot of voice work. I didn't have to read once in this game.
Welcome to
that sounds dumb, but like I ain't gotta read nothing. But in RPGs, even in like bigger RPGs from the recent past,
true,
like
usually they get to a point where they stop talking, and it's just,
or like just like the minuscule little stuff is just text. No, man, every single thing is voiced. So maybe that had something to do with it as well. I don't know. It's probably just poor optimization.
Yeah, because to me, it's so bizarre to think about how like. Something like Persona 5, which is a 120-hour long RPG with like more voice acting than this game had, and that game was on a PS3. That game fit on a PS3 disc, and this game fit on 2.
Yeah,
PS4
but you can't.
discs.
But that used a different type. That used cell shading, right? That's much lower. That's much lower like space in terms of like texture size and stuff. Like that's.
But there were a lot of like anime cutscenes and tons and tons of voice acting, like hours and hours of voice acting, hundreds of tracks of music, and it's crazy to think that I don't know. I'm not a fucking game developer, and I won't dwell on that too long. But
what do you want?
That's what I want. What I want is for this game to be a segmented open world type game where it's like Nier Automata or Ocarina of Time or Shadow of Colossus.
That's a good one.
Yeah, kind of like how that game's structured, right?
Yeah.
Because the areas don't feel too big, but it still feels like you have freedom. And I want this game to feel that way, and that combat system is somewhat similar.
A little bit.
I want it to feel that way, and I would like some. I would really, really like. I know this is kind of silly, but like I would love some more like close after this. If we're gonna be like, we're all gonna be different, we're all gonna start doing random shit. We're just gonna change everything. Okay, well then let me fucking put different clothes on. Let me change my armor.
Okay,
like,
customization.
Like,
okay.
Give me some armor. Like, and
okay.
how badass would it be if the Cloud is in like a huge suit of armor and he has like materia down his spine or something?
Yeah,
like that would be so cool.
They would have to add in a whole new armor system because 7 has always been about just weapon and accessories and materia.
Yeah, add an armor system. Fuck it, let's do it. The combat system doesn't need to change. No,
not really.
Amazing on the music, and really, as long as the story just, I don't care if they change stuff. Just don't make me mad. Don't piss on my dick. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Don't shit where you eat, my friend.
So, because like the thing is like the 7-second thing was so cool and such a cool Easter egg, and I want them to stick with more stuff like that. I want them to be a little more subtle with the storytelling, and not so fucking meat hammer,
summer child,
fucking meat hammer me on the face with fucking.
You know who you're dealing with? Subtlety died. Subtlety died when Scary Movie came out. Okay, don't ask for subtlety.
Personally, I don't know what they're gonna do with this game. Honestly, I honestly have no idea how they pull off a game at this point. Once you leave Midgar, because that is when the game starts. Midgar is a glorified tutorial, and now it's a full fucking game. Yeah. And then you leave Midgar, and that's the game. That's the beginning. It's definitely, like I said, it's when you get the Master Sword, you know, and you go and you're adult Cloud.
It's definitely what I expect. I expect, like you said, it's going to be like a mid-range faux open world kind of thing, you know, like Final Fantasy 12 or Legend of Zelda. Hopefully much better executed. If they are going to do non-linear, it'd be nice, like non-linear narrative stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like some dialogue choices and stuff.
If they can't do a big open world physically, like
we're gonna go
really cool,
shit crazy.
Because I feel like now they kind of like, now that Universe B is started, so to speak, now they're like, we're gonna be our own people, so to speak. It would make sense the next game to start to embrace more narrative choices. So like now we can start actively changing canon, so to speak, or at least fighting against Sephiroth to change canon, whatever that lore is going to be. I'm pretty sure Zack is going to somehow come into Universe B somehow, because there's no reason for them to put those 2 Zack cutscenes in there, because anyone if you've never played the original 7,
you're going to be so confused.
Heck, even if you played 7, there's a good chance that you don't even know who the heck Zack is, because he's talked about twice.
He's such a small part of a flashback.
Yeah, he's talked about, like, Aerith mentions him when you get to her hometown, or Zack's hometown, I forgot what it was called. And then there's that hidden cutscene at the end, and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you miss those, like, I don't know. Like,
most people just know from that flashback where Aerith's talking about him, and it's just showing him running around. My boyfriend, and he's dead now.
So like,
he was from Soldier too.
I feel like they wouldn't have added him so prevalently in the end, especially to like save his life. There's no reason they would have saved his life in another parallel reality if they didn't mean to, like. So this is just like the dumbest thing ever, but like, playable Zack, please. I don't care. I don't care at this point. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if we're gonna change shit, let's just go hog wild.
Let's just go hog wild, man.
Let's
embrace this remake.
Give me playable Zack. Give me Armor.
Is more of a sequel and a reimagining.
Let me have playable Jesse, Wedge, Biggs. If we're gonna bring them all fucking back, at least give them to me in a fucking party. You know, like, let me just have everybody. Let me play Kate. Let me play Kate Shee, and let me play.
Who?
Who? Kate Shee.
Your cat took a shit?
Kate Sith.
Oh, okay. Good. Say it right. All right.
I did.
We're not in Ireland, okay? You're not impressing anyone. Okay.
Kate Shee.
1080 HP.
Kate She. Okay? Kate She.
Not impressed. There's
She?
any of our Irish viewers were not impressed.
Someone who's going to watch this video is going to go, whoa, he pronounced it right.
Wow, I like him.
He's cute. What's his number?
What's his number? What's your ICQ number?
What's your com number?
What's your aim? What's your aim handle? ASL?
AOL.com at Cardinal.
That's what I kind of like fantasizing what they might do. What I want more. I want more. Like, because I do find this whole like, because it kind of makes sense. Like Sephiroth is gonna live forever until the planet dies, and he doesn't want that, and Eris doesn't want it, so they're trying to create this new fate to defeat him forever. I think it's cool. I want them to do well with that because I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts.
Yeah.
We've rambled for a while.
Gonna rambling.
We've had opinions. I think if I had to score this game 1 out of 4, I would give it a blue.
Ooh. See, I would go if I'd be like 1 out of 10. I'd be like squirrel.
Yeah, agree. I give it
because it's so out of the left field. You're like squirrel. Okay, I was expecting like 9
a number.
Squirrel.
Yeah, yellow out of 9.
Yellow out of 9.
Yeah, no, I do recommend people go buy it. It is good. It's well made. There's a lot of problems, but there's a lot of great stuff.
It's a AAA confusing ass fan letter.
Yeah, and that's really, those are my thoughts. And anything left to say?
No, I just want to thank anyone who stayed this long watching.
You are dead now, so thank you.
You're dead now.
You're being a dead person.
Or are you? We must.
Oh, don't! The fucking barbers are gonna bring you back.
The barbers of fate.
They're gonna go down on you.
Barbers of fate for my mustache.
The barbers of fate. We're the barbers of fate during the COVID.
They have like a quartet, and they start singing. Barbershop quartet.
This has been a successful episode of
Thanks
the Critical Beard Podcast.
Critical Podcast number 2. Spoiler cast.
Spoiler cast. Those are our thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Put that bell inside your asshole and ring it, baby. Ring it good. Love you. Good night.